All right, and welcome to our first attempt of a first episode of the yet unnamed Spartan Sports podcast.
Working title.
We're working title. We'll talk about that shortly, but we're gathering here now over Zoom.com in anticipation of the Fall 2 season on the heels of football's first scrimmage. Nate, we're picking up the Spartans' year of sports sort of at the midway point, but still a lot to look forward to as we near the end of the year here.
Yeah, definitely. And I can say, so I've been working with the Coach Golden asked me to work with the kickers for the football team. So I've been going to some of their practices, and I was at the scrimmage yesterday, and the kids are definitely excited. I think especially for anybody playing anything in fall too, they've had a bigger gap. So like, you know, we did soccer last fall and then we played this fall, but for football, they played last fall and now they've had to wait an extra like half of a school year. So, you know, they were practicing throughout the fall. They were kind of chomping at the bit, ready to go. And you can definitely feel that and sense that in the practices and the scrimmage. The kids are really excited. And I think the coaches are as well. You can kind of have that sense of how excited everybody is. So it's exciting, definitely. And then same thing with track practice has been going on outside. And we have Miss Roberts, who's taken over the program this year and really doing a nice job. She's out there with her megaphone, giving instructions, which is fun to see and fun to hear from the classroom. Okay. Oh yeah, you got to watch it. It's good stuff. So yeah, a lot of excitement, definitely.
Yeah, and as we look forward to starting, you know, actually breaking down what's been going on in these games ahead, you definitely get the feeling that we're about to start something here. The hallways after school have not been as busy as at any point this year during our COVID-ridden school year as they have been since football's begun. Seeing the boys in the hallway and seeing everyone getting ready for track and going outside, and with the warm weather slowly returning, feels like we're at the beginning of something positive that people are actually looking forward to finally.
It's crazy too, because the whole word around like the whole state when they announced the fall too was like, who's going to want to play football in February? Who's going to want to run track in February? And I swear it was like something happened that first week where we started, where the weather just suddenly got so much better so quick. Yep. And, you know, like you said, walking in the halls and then you walk outside and the sun's out and there's, you know, not too bad of a breeze. The wind is relatively under control, and it just feels like, you know, hoping that this trend of weather continues and this is going to feel like a normal fall season, if not even better, because usually in the fall, the later you go, you playing on Thanksgiving and practicing before that, and it's freezing sometimes. And now it's like the deeper you go into the season, it's actually going to get warmer and warmer, which is what we experience in the spring. And it's like awesome. So, I think everybody will really enjoy that. And by the time they're done playing in April, it's going to feel really nice out. And, you know, everything that comes with being able to spread out more outside and do everything outside is positive right now. So,
yeah, not just warmer, but also lighter, right? Normally in the fall, you guys, by October, you're trying to get your practices in before 4:15, before it gets pitch black outside. And now we actually have the opposite. Football seeing track or seeing longer and longer, periods of daylight. We're a week and a half away from the clocks going forward again. That second Sunday of March every year. And
definitely,
yeah, just a bizarre spring start to our spring season here.
No, I was just going to say we have a lot of kids who are taking advantage of the fourth season. And I have some soccer players who are like, yeah, I'm going to try football. And I totally encourage that, because I know if it were me and I had the chance, if I had lost the season last year, if I could do is play and try to play a sport in every season possible. So I think that's a cool little added wrinkle to this year. Even though there have been so many challenges, you're getting some kids who are getting to try new sports for the first time, which I think is pretty cool. So.
Yeah, speaking of trying new things, we've had the opportunity those last couple of basketball games of the weird winter season to start experimenting with getting the commentary up and running on our YouTube feed, and that's kind of the genesis of what we're doing here as we look forward to spring and getting that camera set up outside. whether that's here or at another school's field that we're borrowing for football or whatever else. And as we look forward to the season, getting the camera up and running for um, up for lacrosse in particular, and um, trying to keep this commentary running through the end of the year and hopefully even into 2021's year.
Yeah, it's been, I would say, like you and I obviously discussed it and talked about potentially doing it. And I was really involved with getting the camera set up in the gym. And so like when I realized and learned and read a lot about the potential that you can kind of do your own broadcast and commentate, um, I thought it would be interesting to try. And I think both of us feel that like we had so much more fun with it than we thought we were going to. Like I had a blast doing it. I really did.
Yeah, it
And
was really fun.
do I necessarily think anybody cares what we have to say? Probably not, but that's okay. We're just the trailblazers and we set the path for other people to do it. I'm fine with that. I don't have such a big ego that I think anybody actually, cares about our opinions on this stuff. But I do think that people would like to be able to hear from some of our coaches and athletes more. And I feel like this is an opportunity to do that because I feel like in high school, especially, players and coaches don't have an avenue to get their thoughts out there. And, they don't have like a big interaction with the media. So the newspaper does a great job, but like it's a small staff and they write great articles and those sorts of things and people get quoted and stuff. But we don't really get a chance to hear directly from their perspective enough, I don't think. And so that's the portion of it that I'm really excited for. So
Yeah, absolutely. And speak for yourself. My ego is massive, and I would not want to ever be replaced in doing this. But no, but yeah, that was kind of part of the thought process. Even looking back 2 years, I've been so happy and excited for us to get this up and running off the ground. Even looking back 2 years with the start of the school newspaper website, which has been put on hold this year with all of our kind of lack of ability to gather in clubs and stuff with weird flex periods and all that.
mhm.
Um, that started off as we want to have a space for our students to write and talk about sports as instead of depending on whatever South Coast Today or whoever else to pick up the stories and here and there cover our team. Part of the hope of the school newspaper website, and hopefully next year as well, if we talk about it too much, you and I may end up having to be in charge of that too, so maybe we should shut up now. But was just to give our students a space to actually talk about what they're doing and talk about themselves and their sports without having to rely on outside media sources to cover, as wonderful as it is when they do.
Yeah, I think that's really cool and interesting. And I always think back to this Players Tribune website that Derek Jeter was very involved in, and I'm a huge Yankees fan. Derek Jeter is the greatest, so I enjoy it that much more. But he basically made this website where it was a chance to let professional athletes, tell their story, talk about different issues like unfiltered from their own perspective without having to go through this third party like person writing an article. And it's given a voice to a lot of athletes and they've really taken good advantage of it, which has been pretty cool to see.
Well, let's, with the time that we have left here before we welcome on uh, Colbey and Declan to talk about this past boys basketball season, let's use a few remaining minutes we have to just talk about the year that we've really had so far. Obviously, like everything else this year, there's been nothing normal about athletics so far, although they've slowly been becoming more normal feeling as we've
Mhm.
seen a lot of the restrictions and protocols kind of lessen or change or go away altogether. But before we talk about how things have changed, you coach back in the fall. So let's talk quickly about what, the impact of COVID, even just going back to that first fall season, and how you see that sort of morphing now as we go into fall two.
Yeah, it was definitely a challenge, and I would say that there were lots of points of frustration. And I would say, it was probably one time a day, whether it was practice or a game, where, you know, you're looking at one of your other coaches or one of your players and you're just like shaking your head in like frustration about how
Mm.
things are different. But I would say the amount of times each day where it's like you're looking at a coach or a player and saying, man, like it's great to be out here doing this again, outweighs all of that completely. And so I think, like, you know, I think the intentions were really good with the modifications, and I think some of them, they've modified the modifications, like you said, going into the fall too, because a lot of schools didn't play soccer in the fall like we did, and now the fall two modifications for soccer have become much different, um, because they learned through what happened in the fall. So I'm interested definitely to see some local soccer, especially like the South Coast Conference is going to be getting ready to play here soon. So, but yeah, the biggest sentiment again and again is just like we're all thankful that the school gave us the opportunity to play, and everybody who's worked super hard to keep it going has done such a good job and had to be so vigilant. And you know, it's not a surprise, because if you're a part of this community, then you know what it's all about and you know what the people are all about and how hard everybody works together. So it's no surprise, but it's just been great to have this, this school year with so much that's different. The fact that we still get to do sports and music and all these other extracurricular activities that we have.
What's the number one rule change from fall soccer or any fall sport that you are looking forward to never having to worry about ever again?
Well, one of our games was directly impacted by a rule that it's so basically there's no heading was allowed in the
Oh,
fall.
right.
And we had a game where one of our players instinctively, because he's been doing it his whole life, went up and headed a ball right in front of our goal, to clear it, because that's what he's always done. And so basically that gave the other team an indirect kick 6 yards away from the goal. And then they tell us we can't make a wall because we'll be too close. And they're taking our players off the field and out of the way and basically saying, like, here's a free shot on net that's going to be impossible to defend with like 5 minutes left. And so that was the most frustrating point of the entire season. And because, you know, our kids felt like they were kind of unfairly, you know, we ended up losing the game 1-0. And we were trying to tell each other at the end, like, we did not deserve to lose that game 1-0. So um, it was funny because I have a couple of friends in a group text, one of whom is Mr. Raposa, who coaches with us, obviously. And we were talking about like, what would you change? How would you change that? And so our other friend who coaches at Wareham, he and I were saying like, okay, if somebody heads the ball in the box, then give the other team a free kick, but put it at the 18, like in line with where they were. So out of the penalty area. And then it just becomes a regular free kick and we actually have a chance to defend it. And that's actually what they did end up doing. So that's the new rule for the fall too. And I'm thankful for that because it makes a lot more sense. And hopefully nobody will be harshly done by that rule. I don't think they will be, like we were. So
Yeah, you guys were martyrs for the cause. Yeah.
definitely.
So do you think, looking back, that this 2020-2021 sports year was our school's introduction to this new our new Catholic conference with a lot of new faces, a lot of new buildings and fields that we've never traveled to before? You think ultimately it was kind of a good thing that our first year breaking in was this sort of more calm, less official first year, or do you think it would have been better to just go in blind, or get thrown in the deep end with full competition?
I think I would actually, yeah, I think the fact that COVID impacted and changed so much was actually a good thing, because so many schools are playing only in their conference. And we had a very few small number of games out of conference, but the fact that we got to play all the schools that were participating in each sport in our conference was a positive thing. And we got to go and see some of these schools for the first time, and play on some really nice fields and in some really nice gyms for volleyball and basketball and those sorts of things. So I think it gave us a chance to just focus on that part of it. And like, we're going to focus on the CCL, and this is how the CCL is going to do this, that, and the other. And so we've been on the same page with them. And I think we've built some like good connections with these other schools and have a better relationship, um, after the fact because we only played each other and we've got to know. And so like one of the soccer coaches is the president of this Eastern Mass Soccer Association thing, and we got to talking, and he got staying involved in that, and so now we're a part of that, and we'll be able to nominate all stars and things like that, which is exciting. So I think it's a really good fit too, competition wise. I was really happy with it with soccer. I felt like we fit in perfectly. There's always going to be certain sports where it's different, whereas some sports is like this conference is going to be really strong in this sport, and maybe not as strong in another. But I think if you ask the coaches across the board, they would say like they feel like the competition level is really good and that it's a really good fit for us. So I'm excited about it and excited about seeing, how it develops further going into next year.
Aside from the um, aside from the obvious benefit of actually having a conference schedule to play now, which certainly makes the scheduling part of every season significantly easier. What are the other biggest changes to being in the CCL now as opposed to our mostly independent schedules in the past?
Yeah, well, so the biggest thing is when we had three teams previously in the oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name, EAC, sorry.
Right.
Um, that meant that like for soccer, that gives you 4 conference games, and now you've got to go and schedule 14 other games against a bunch of different schools, which is really tough. Like if you are in the experience of like reaching out to coaches and trying to get games, it can be a big headache and very, very difficult. So the fact that we have such a big conference now means that we will have less non-conference games, but it'll be much easier for a scheduling standpoint. And I think you just get to know the teams a little bit better, which, like I referenced already, I think is a positive thing. So in years past, it's like, okay, we have 4 games, 2 against Coyle, 2 against Fian. Now we got to schedule 2 against this team. We only get 1 from this team, and it just becomes very, very challenging. And sometimes it's like you can't get the number of games that you want to, or you have to play some powerhouse team that you weren't accounting for on your schedule, which can be really tough. So I think that's a positive, and I think this conference is really going to get us ready for the state tournaments too, because there's a lot of Division II teams in our conference, which should help us just from a level of competition. We'll be better prepared going into the state tournaments. So it's exciting.
What's the traveling like?
Traveling's tough, but the way that they structured it in a really smart way. So it's regional. So we have a southern region in our conference, which consists of us, Cardinal Spellman, which is in Brockton, which isn't too bad, Archbishop Williams, which is in Braintree, which isn't too bad, and then Bishop Fian, who's in Attleboro, as we know, and isn't too bad. And we play those teams twice, but the teams who are furthest away, a team like Austin Prep, who's all the way up in Reading, or a
Oof.
team like Bishop Fenwick, who's in
Mm.
Peabody, those teams we only play once. And so basically what we're going to do is we're going to flip flop who travels when. So this year, for instance, Bishop Fenwick came to us for soccer on a Saturday. Now next year we'll go to them. But so they really did the best that they could in terms of cutting down the travel.
Sure.
And so because of that, we have some Saturday, you have some long Saturdays, but I find that like, we all enjoy it. We all want to be there. We get some pizzas after the game and like we make a day out of it and have fun and enjoy it the best we can. And so it's been a good thing, especially with like, we're always talking about how little the kids get to socialize with each other when they're on the bus for that long. They really get a chance to be with each other and enjoy each other's company. So there's positives and negatives, of course, but I think it worked pretty well for the most part.
That's awesome. Well, we're on the verge of beginning this fall 2 season officially. Like we mentioned at the beginning, football had their first scrimmage yesterday against New Bedford High, and it sounded like that went pretty well. And I don't think track or cheer has done anything scrimmage-y or official quite yet, but we're about to kick off this short and novel fall 2 season. What do we have to look forward to? What's the schedule like coming up here in these coming weeks?
So for football, we have our first game next Friday on the 12th, and that's going to be at Cardinal Spellman. And then our first home game is going to be the following Saturday. So we play right now, we have 3 Friday games and 4 Saturday games. And the Saturday games are in the afternoon. And again, I think is to account for that travel. But it's a good mix to give us an opportunity to see these teams play. And as far as I know, all these schools are going to be doing their best to live stream the game, so we'll get a chance to watch them. And like we said, hopefully call the games if we're able to. But yeah, the first game is Cardinal Spellman, which is exciting because it's a South team, which means a little bit more for us in our conference. And so, I know that the coaches and the players are geared up and fired up and ready to go, give it their best shot next Friday, and then host Archbishop Williams the following Saturday on the 20th.
They're not doing playoffs for football, right? Just like they didn't do it for tournaments for the other sports either.
Correct. There's 7 regular season games, which is good. It's a good solid schedule. So, and for our home games, if our field is up to it, we're going to try and play all of our games here. If there are issues with the field, though, luckily we have a good relationship with New Bedford High, who's going to let us use their turf anytime that we need it, which is big. So
that is awesome. Well, we have football to look forward to starting next Friday. We got track starting up. We got cheer, and we'll be sure to get people from all these different teams on the show with us in the near future. The as of yet unnamed show, and so we want to just open up the floor here to anyone who bothers to watch or listen to this, and we need name recommendations. So if anyone has any ideas for our Spartans sports show, a good, clever, really engaging title, shoot me or Mr. Green an email. You know where to find us.
absolutely. Or if we might be on YouTube, so you can put one in the comment.
Yikes! We're leaving the comments open.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Oh no. I'm gonna start brushing my hair before coming on.
Don't worry, I can filter them, so anything negative will just get deleted anyway. So
it's like, man, G Hurst 27 is just saying all these nice things over and over again. Okay, so we'll definitely get football on. We'll get cheer people on. We'll get track on. We got esports going on.
absolutely.
I have access to those guys. So we'll get them on to talk about spring esports season. But today we're going to look backwards a little bit. Mr. Green is going to have Colbey and Declan on next to talk about this past basketball season, this boys basketball season. Declan's going to talk about his 4 years here. And we'll wrap up our look at the basketball and the winter season before we say goodbye and get ready for episode number 2, when we'll welcome on some other faces from the fall 2 teams. Anything else you want to say before I get out of here and leave you with the coach?
I would just say you're a pro, first of all. You had some really good segues in there and wrapped us up very nicely, so well done. I would also say that if there's anything that if anybody listens to it, which we'll see what happens, but if anybody has suggestions, like, please, by all means, give us your ideas if anybody wants to come on. And I think we can, expand it to like, I was talking to Miss Murphy Leet yesterday, and she was telling me about this new show that she's written. So like, we would definitely love to hear from her and hear from the kids who are involved in theater and putting that production on, because it sounds really exciting. So we're open and willing to any ideas that anybody has. So please let us know. And yes, definitely help us out with a name, because we have no idea right now.
I don't know if Chorus needs any more free press than they already get, but we'll see. Oh, that's our bell. So on that note, all right, Nate, well, have fun talking with Coach and with Declan, and we will do this again soon. Hit that button.
All right, so we've got 2 Bishop Saying legends on episode 1. Couldn't think of anybody else better to start with than these 2 guys. Unfortunately, Mr. Hurst couldn't be here for this part of it, but we're going to roll on, and he's going to listen and let us know what he thinks about how it went. So just a few questions to start with. We'll play a couple games towards the end, but I'll let you know about what those are going to look like in a second. So first, most important question. You guys listen to us broadcast the games, at least one of them. I know each of you listen to at least pieces of one. So any feedback on our broadcasting skills.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It, especially with you being a basketball coach, you got to explain a lot of the basketball aspects to the typical fan, pointing out like playing a 2-3 zone, we're going to give up rebounds. So, when we're actually coaching and kids are playing and, people are yelling like, hey, you got to get a rebound. And we kind of know like this is what's going to happen. We're doing this for a reason. And you explained all that in the actual game. And I think that was awesome. It was a lot of fun. And people could actually learn while watching, Bishop Stain play basketball.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It's a lot better than just watching the game in silence. You guys added a little bit of your own flair to it, so it was good.
Yeah, I think a lot of it probably went over a lot of people's heads, but I mean, I got messages from people being like, "Oh, like, wow, like you're actually talking about the game," and I'm like, "Well, that's all I know. I don't know how to do this. I just know the game, so I'm going to talk about it from like what I'm seeing in that standpoint." So,
yeah, absolutely.
all right, so obviously there were so many things about this year that were different. Declan, you played soccer and basketball now. Obviously, Coach Santos, you worked in basketball. What would you guys say were the biggest challenges, whether it's like in game or if it's day to day? What were the biggest challenges trying to do this year during COVID?
I think the mask was obviously an issue with basketball is just constant running up and down, and then the mask falling and always having to watch that. And I thought we were watching not only just how basketball was going, but we had to be aware of all the COVID protocols. And then the shortened halftime, my style of a coach, and that hurt me a lot. I didn't say it out loud and publicly, but I like going into halftime and making adjustments, having time, talking, and then talking without anyone listening to me. And that took a toll on my style of coaching personally. So those two factors were tough.
So the halftime killed me because we would always like, I think you're the same way because I've actually talked to you at those points of games, but it's like you get 10 minutes at halftime. In the first 2 minutes, most times you're talking to your assistant coaches like, what do we see? What can we change? And then you have like 5 minutes to go and tell your team. And when you have 2.5 minutes, like you don't even have a chance to have those conversations with your coaches or whoever else. And so it's brutal.
Yeah. We needed to stop a lot of momentums this year, and that could have stopped momentums, and then we draw up and go steal a couple possessions early, and those couple possessions, how many games did we lose in a couple possessions? Those right there could have helped on our end to try and fix those. Yeah, and I wasn't a fan of that.
Right. What do you think, Declan?
Yeah, I mean, the mask was the big difference this year, but I kind of just miss like the locker room environment, like spending more time with the guys. I mean, you got to see them for literally an hour and a half every day, and then you were out the door. We didn't have study hall, didn't live together. It was just brief moments, I guess. So there wasn't a lot of that extra stuff that, I mean, it's part of playing sports, and I miss that a lot. But other than that, I mean, still 90% the same game. So I was just glad to be out there playing.
Yeah, I would say bus rides too. Like if you go on a long bus ride and go play somewhere and get a big upset, like there's nothing better than that bus ride. And it's like you're coming home and you have like half the kids, everybody's all spaced out, and it just felt like totally different. So
yeah, and a lot of times I was shocked that I was freezing at first until we cranked the heat. But even that, I mean, those windows down, man, that is brutal.
Absolutely. So one of the things too, I said on one of the broadcasts, and I feel strongly, I was like, because I know how our home gym gets, especially for boys games, like it gets packed. And I'm telling Mr. Hurst, like, if we have a full crowd for these games, like this team's maybe 500 at home or better, like we get a lift from our crowd because our crowds are always crazy, and it's only ever going to help our players. Like we've all watched that happen over the last few years. So
I think it was at one point, it was a handful of games we've ever lost at home. Like it's one of those things we talk about protecting home, and that those crowds, I love our gym as much as it's small and people might complain. As a coach here, I absolutely love it because
Mm.
it only takes a couple people to make that gym loud, and then we take advantage of that.
Are there any positives, like any upside to this year with all the changes? Is there anything you can think of that was like helpful about it?
I think the conference tournament was huge, and I hope that stays. I would love for it to be, say, like us, for instance, we won a game, and then you go into the conference tournament, just like college basketball. If you win that conference tournament, you get a bid into the state tournament. And there's no reason why we can't do that in mass. So everyone has their conference tournament. And then as a coach, it'll keep your players engaged because at the end of the year, you can still keep saying, we got a tournament, we can prepare. We might get hot. And if we get hot and knock off some teams, then we can go play in the state tournament. And I think that would be a great thing for high school sports.
Declan,
Yeah, I
what do
agree.
you
I
think?
like the conference tournament a lot. It gave us a chance to compete, and even in a postseason when we wouldn't necessarily earned it in a normal year. But I like that idea a lot, and I feel like it could definitely be done because that February vacation week, you can definitely have a whole conference tournament during that week, and then lead right into the MIA tournament first week of March or the last week of February.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing would be like you just have to take off one or two of your regular season games,
Yeah.
But if you're gonna like guarantee that everybody gets in, you know what I mean, just for the logistical standpoint. But it shouldn't be a problem because sometimes you have some schools that play like 18 games, and then other schools, like I feel like Wareham always played like 22.
Yeah,
So
22.
like
So, yep.
that's the max. So you really have some flexibility. So I agree. I'd like to see that. I mean, like I'm a Syracuse fan for college basketball. And it's like, how many years were they like,
Yeah.
okay, and then and it's like they can win this conference tournament any year, like does not matter
Yep.
because they're going to peak at that
Absolutely.
point and they have a chance.
Yep.
So I think there is a lot of momentum towards that, just like what I've seen online and on Twitter and stuff. So that's exciting. All right, so season highlights. I asked you guys to try to come up with a season highlight. Like obviously, Declan, you had your 1,000 points. And that seems like that would be like the natural choice if we were to ask you what your season highlight was. But the way that game ended, I know that ended up being like, even though it was a celebratory day, like the night ended up being tough just because of how like you guys lost on the buzzer beater. So something other than that you would point to as like a highlight of the season. Is there anything else you can think of?
I mean, I guess just being able to play. Like I saw a lot of my buddies play over at like the prep school level, and they didn't really have a season. Just being able to compete against other teams and go at it and just play basketball, even if it was in front of nobody. I mean, I was just fortunate to be able to do that, and I was glad that the MIA was able to put something on. So I guess that the whole season was kind of the highlight, considering the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that. I agree with that. And then the new league, I got to learn as a coach standpoint about a bunch of new schools. And then, I mean, Declan might not know, but that game against Arlington Catholic, he scored 31. I think took the least amount of dribbles I've seen a high school basketball player take. I thought that was, I've watched the film like 3 or 4 times. I thought it was one of the coolest things. We put in an offense to try and limit the amount of dribbles we were taking, and he took full advantage. And the night before, he just basically told me he's not losing the game, and the team responded, and he predicted it and came through, and it was a good senior moment, and it was a good way to cap off a career.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna try and I think you and I are both sick of just having to say good things about him over and over again. So we're going to try and cut it down as much as we possibly can. We're almost done with that. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But Declan, you've kind of talked about it a little bit already in what you've said, but like just reflecting on 4 years, maybe bigger than basketball or all your sports or just all your experience at staying, like how has it been, what has it meant to you, stuff like that?
I mean, I'll start with basketball. I guess my freshman, sophomore, and even my junior year, we had pretty good team. I mean, I was able to play at the Boston Garden. Not too many kids say that. I played with some great guys. Colbey was nice enough to put me on the varsity team my freshman year, so I got to experience a really, really good team. I always say that probably my second favorite game I've ever played, and I never stepped on the floor, was the night we beat Catholic Memorial at home. Yeah, I was just so excited to be part of it. Like I was on that team. Like I didn't touch the floor, but I was filling up the water bottles. I was doing my role. But basketball, I just enjoyed going every day, going to practice, and then being part of like a winning culture. I mean, we experienced something different this year, but we still worked hard. We still game planned. I was just happy to be part of that family. And then for the other sports, same thing pretty much. I mean, I've played with some great teammates. I've had great coaches, had great all-around experiences. And I'm just really lucky for my high school experience. And I'm glad I picked where I went. And I'm glad I was able to meet a lot of these new people. And hopefully I was able to carry the tradition on. I don't know.
Well said. Yeah, I think a lot of people on the outside won't understand certain things, like what you're talking about being a freshman. And somebody comes to the game and is like, well, why would Colbey put him on varsity if he's not going to play? And it's like, and having that mindset from the outside, it's like, okay, I understand why you're saying that, but this kid's now going to get to play against Dame and Justin in practice every day, and he's going to get to go up against Sam Golden in the post, and all of the things that are going to make him so much better. And not only that, but being a part of those games and like seeing what it takes and seeing the way that the kids who are playing are carrying themselves, and like getting a taste of that environment pays off so hugely down the road. I think so. I'm sure you would agree,
absolutely.
Coach.
And just in his response now, it's tough finding kids that accept that. Like he said, holding water bottle, doing cheering, and knew his role. And the practices were his game. He still scored 1,000 points. He's going to go down as one of the greatest players we've had in this program. And he was just behind really good guards, but he was the little brother to them. And then they each, Justin had Dame, Bryson was here. He had a really good, help role players, and Declan this year sometimes felt like he was on an island, but he learned so much from them, and then became an absolute animal. And it's because the freshman year being the the type of practices we had. Sometimes those practices were harder than the games, and they go at it. Everything we do is live, and it gets you to compete at a high level. And what was pretty cool too, I remember I was walking in the gym, and I went to speak to his dad, and I was gonna say, like, if you want me to play him on JV, and he cut me off, and he was like, I get what you're doing, trust me, don't worry about it. And it felt good as a coach knowing, like, all right,
Validation.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So it was awesome.
And yeah, going off that practice thing, like I tell anybody that'll listen, like, I've never seen like I would show up to practice. I would have paid to show up to some of those practices and watch them go at it, because I've never seen anything like that. Like I've never seen a team practice like that where they were just going at each other every single day. It was awesome. So kind of piggybacking off that, you just talked about it a little bit, but you've obviously coached a bunch of great players. Like we mentioned, Damian, Justin, Bryson, you could give us a long list, I'm sure. But what do you think, if you were just talking about like purely basketball standpoint, what do you think is different about Declan?
I think his IQ. He might not be, as athletic as Bryson, but the situation, like, he's going to be able to play basketball for a long time because he plays it so slow that it's fast. And it's like a Paul Pierce. Like Paul Pierce's footwork is incredible. His angles.
Who's that? Who's Paul Pierce?
And even Joe Ingles, he's a lefty like Declan, but it's just those things he understands. And that's what's gotten him this far. I mean, Burt, sophomore year, everyone's worried about stopping Dame and Justin, and they did the thing like they usually do. And Declan, I believe, had 28 points. I don't know if he dribbled the ball, but he found gaps in the zone. He understood. He did his homework with film and everything, and that's what separates himself. He beats you mentally before you even step on the floor.
I remember too in that game, he hit the side of the backboard at the end of the third quarter,
and then buried the next one.
and it's like, oh, geez, like, you know, he kind of rushed a shot or whatever, and then the ball comes back to him. Is like, didn't even think for a second that he wasn't going to let it fly, and then he just knocks it down the next one.
Justin, a senior, who gave him the ball right back, and that goes the type of teams we had with the trust, and it was incredible.
Right. I always say, like, too, just from the basketball standpoint, like, you know, like you said, not the fastest, not necessarily the most athletic, but in terms of like getting into a pull-up shot, I haven't really seen many people quicker than that. And I talked about that a lot when we were calling the games. Like, he's just going to get to a spot and elevate. And by the time you react to that and try to challenge a shot, like, you're not even there. You know what I mean? He's at a spot with the ball where he's releasing it that you can't even affect at that point, just because he gets into it so quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So looking to next year for both of you guys, Declan, you have any updates or like where you're looking to go or what the plan is?
I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple schools, but continuing basketball is definitely an option, and I'm obviously heavily considering it, but nothing's official yet. But I'm just gonna keep trying to get in the gym and work on my game, so I'm always ready to go just in case the opportunity presents itself. So nothing officially decided yet.
And then, Coach, how are you feeling about where the program's at, where it's going, and what are you looking forward to for next year?
I mean, it could only go up from this year, but we're gonna be all right. I mean, you coach 2 sports years, Catholic school. You don't know what your team is year in and year out. So when it comes time, when enrollment is done, I know September when you guys start school, I'll have an idea who's back, who's not, if there's something new, and then we'll get back to work. We'll be fine. We're going to be in the mix next year, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's so true, because I mean, I coached at Fairhaven for soccer and basketball and lacrosse, and it's like, all right, who do I have coming up next year? Like so-and-so's brother and so-and-so's sister.
Exactly.
And it's like, everybody knows everybody. Where here, you have no idea what you're going to get. No. And that's something that people don't, again, another thing that people from the outside don't think about, won't understand.
Yeah, like we got to gel in weeks compared to these guys could have been playing 6th, 7th, 8th grade all the way up. We got to figure it out in a short time. Absolutely.
All right, so now we're going to try and have a little bit of fun. I'm going to give you guys some rapid fire. So, so we'll go. Colbey, you answer first, and then Declan answers right after, and just kind of as quick as you can. You know, no pressure, but it is rapid fire. So, go to pregame meal. What are you eating before a game?
I'm probably going to grab a white Reese's Cups from the Cumberland Farms right outside of Stang. Sweetest fish. It used to be a Monster drink. My family got on me about that, so now it's usually a coffee. And then I got to grab a white Gatorade, and Justin Lopes was famous at taking my white Gatorade in the middle of the game.
Yeah, I just get peanut M&Ms in the water.
Okay. Pre-game song. If you had to listen to one song before a game to get you pumped up, and you can talk about when you were a player, Cole, because you know, everybody knows that you had a big basketball career as a player too. So like, I don't want to hear about, you know, all this new music. I want to hear about what you were listening to back in our day.
It was anything by Jay-Z. I remember walking James Madison campus, and Kingdom Come, his album had just dropped, and it was right before basketball season. I lost my mind. That was it. I played.
Was that supposed to be the last one too?
So Black Album was the last one, and then he made a return, like surprisingly out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, like he was Jordan. And yeah, I was ready to go. So I'm a big Jay-Z guy, and I'll still, you know, riding to get ready to coach, I'll find a song in the car and play it. So as long as my son's not with me.
No Church in the Wild always got me so fired up before games.
Yeah, I like that.
Declan, what about you?
I listen to like anything really. I listen to a lot of Lil Baby, and then I listen to Khalid to like calm me down, kind of like vibe out. But
Big Miley Cyrus guy, right?
yeah, I mean, I listen to anything. I like Taylor Swift a lot too.
I know, I heard it.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of fun.
Where's your
Well,
favorite?
actually, I got a song, "Unwritten" by Natasha Benfield, something like that. It's a great. I rediscovered this year. I listened to it on. I mean, I wouldn't listen to it like the moment before, but always on the bus. It was in the AirPods.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for that. Favorite shooting spot? Where do you want to shoot from? If the game's on the line, where do you want to catch the ball and shoot from, Colby?
Me at top of the key. I mean, I wish I could some days just come out there and take at least get a good shot. But yeah, I was the top of the key. I was a point guard, so anything on the top.
Yeah, I like the elbows.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
Yeah,
I
made a living.
Biggest weakness in your game? What was the biggest weakness in your game, Colby?
Um, posting up. I think it was just strength. I was like 175 pounds playing, 185 pounds playing in the Colonial League when I first got into college, and I got tossed around. I'd go in there, I was hoping it was a foul, but I just really ran into big guys.
Yeah. Declan, what do you think?
I'd say get into the rim off the dribble.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is a very big question. Okay. Colby, LeBron or LeBron?
Kobe.
Uh-oh.
I'm not answering that.
Declan?
I like LeBron. I don't know if he's the greatest. He's probably the best basketball player of all time, but he's not the
I
greatest
didn't.
basketball
Yeah,
player.
no, I didn't say. I just said LeBron or LeBron. So
I know.
Okay.
No.
I read the room.
All right. So maybe the toughest question for rapid fire. What's wrong with the Celtics?
I just think they haven't played together. If you look across the NBA, everyone's like almost 500, and like we've noticed this year, you took fans away from the game. This basketball in general, fans make the biggest impact on a game, and you got young guys, Jason Tatum, you know, Jaylen Brown, all these guys. They're 23, 24. They play with fans. You know, it's easy for LeBron because he's been through everything. But I think they're going to be all right. I heard today maybe Grant, they're going after Jeremiah Grant from the Pistons. I don't know if that helps, but I think they're going to be all right. I hope they stop dogging my guy, Brad. I think he's a great coach.
Oh, yeah. Declan, you want to touch that, or is that tough to follow?
No, I'll go. I just think the stretch right now without Marcus Smart hurts him. I think Marcus Smart's a good guy. He helps them win games. So
yeah, he's such a pain. He's such a pain. All right, favorite athlete ever. It doesn't have to be a basketball player, but I'm assuming you're both going to say basketball players.
Mine's Muhammad Ali.
All right, good.
Tom Brady.
Even still.
Of course.
All right, so I keep saying it's the toughest question, but this is definitely got to be the toughest question. What's the best outfit you ever saw Coach Dave wear?
I got mine already.
It got to be
it's going to be the same. Yeah.
It got to be at the Garden.
Yeah.
They like the kids wanted it to come back. It became you win once in an outfit, man, and the kids ask you got to perform for them.
I like that one, and then we played at Brookline that same year. He wore like a purple and gray ombre. He was rocking it. He had his chain out.
It's all about confidence. It's all about confidence.
By far.
Absolutely. He rocks it all.
But one thing I can kind of like chirp his style for is he shows up with the same like little kid backpack. He's got to get himself like a designer bag. It doesn't match the fit.
All right. So that's it for rapid fire. Now I got two more games that we're going to try that will I'm very excited about. All right. So I coached you in soccer for 3 years. This is for Declan only. I coached you in soccer for 3 years. You had Colby in basketball for 4 years. So this is a question of who's more likely, like which coach is more likely. Okay. So which coach is more likely to snap at practice?
You are.
I am.
Coach Green.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, just say Coach Green and
I
Coach
do a lot of the
Santos.
snapping. I did a lot of the snapping for Colbey this year,
Absolutely.
but he usually just rubs the head. You would just start screaming, Green.
Well, I got to wait till Bobby is being quiet so I can get a word in sometimes. So, but yeah, I know a lot of these are going to be against me, and that's okay. I kind of wrote them that way. So, all right, who's more likely to make a better pregame playlist? Coach Green, Coach Santos.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Green's playlist to begin with. He made a great one for soccer. I mean, I'm sure Colbey would do fine, but I don't really know. He said Jay-Z today. I'm sure he listens to pretty good music, but
I'm
Green
sure
made
it'll
our
probably
soccer playlist. It was pretty good, honestly.
it'll probably be
It got me going.
very similar.
Yeah.
Who's more likely to get a technical or a yellow card in a game?
Colbey got his first technical this year, so it's been a while. You've gotten a couple cards, I think.
I only got one, I think. But I did get a technical in my only varsity basketball game this year.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
From the same guy.
Same
Yeah,
guy.
I know.
It took me 6 years to get one.
Really? That was your first one?
Or 7. First one ever.
Wow.
I don't know what year I'm at. It's 6 or 7, but that was my first ever technical.
Call it 6.5.
Yeah.
Who's more likely to aggravate you during a game? You can say. It's all right.
Yeah, I've yelled at Green in a game before. Because what he does, it actually annoys me a lot. He calls, like in soccer, you yell like mine or keeper when I want the ball. And he'll yell it from 75 yards away, thinking that he can see from my perspective. And so I've had a yell. I was like, you gotta stop. You have to stop that.
I'm like,
So
you got to get off the line and go get the ball. Stop waiting around. All right. Last two.
I feel like I'm you guys' therapist right now. You guys want to talk it out?
Who's more likely to make fun of you?
Oh.
Yeah, Colbey makes fun of me a lot, honestly.
Really?
Just little chirps every once in a while.
Good.
But I feel like this year I got it and I was able to kind of like chirp back a little bit. But I mean, I do show up to practice in some outfits, some baggy shirts. You've seen it in soccer. I deserve sometimes to get poked fun at, but or just the way I speak, the sayings that I say when I play.
We had to bring him back down. My phone was ringing every day for a new media outlet wanted to talk to Declan.
Yeah.
So I had to bring him back down.
It's too much. It's too much. All right.
Man.
Which coach is more likely to try something in practice and fail? No, I'm saying like who's more likely to, like if I was gonna try, like I'm trying to do the drill and I hop in the drill and I like try to score, or like Colbey takes a shot from somewhere, like who's more likely to fail?
Oh, sorry.
I'm cutting that out.
Well, I'd say that one's pretty even.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, you always come in and just try to finish, and you'll miss the net by whatever amount. Then you'll 1 in every 15, you'll hit an amazing shot.
But the one is always like legit.
And
yes.
Colbey's a similar way because he'll if the ball lands at his feet, he's shooting it no matter where he is in the court. And he'll just throw it, and it'll go in like once every 10, and he'll be like, he'll give you the look like, yeah, I did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like that. That's what Anthony Davis says.
You know?
All right. So that's it for that. All right. The last game is going to be, this is the one I was really excited about before. It's going to be, you guys are going to try and guess the stat line. So I'm going to give you a stat line from a game. All right. So Declan, all of them these will be your stat lines. So I'm not going to tell you the game. Whereas Colbey, I'm going to tell you what game it was and tell you the stats. And then I want you to try to guess who the player is on your team. Because if I don't give you the game, it's going to be like the
this
game.
Year?
Yeah. If I don't give you the game, it's going to be impossible. It might be impossible anyway, but we'll see what happens. And none of them are Declan, though. None of them are Declan.
What? That's
That's
literally
that's.
all even across the board.
Oh, just wait. All right, here we go. So, Declan, 31 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists. What game was that?
Is this to me?
Yeah,
I'm guessing this is Arlington Catholic.
that is Arlington Catholic. You are correct.
I
Colby,
definitely had more than 1 rebound.
iPad don't lie.
I was given the stats off the iPad. Colby, against Archbishop Williams at home,
Yep.
this person had 19 points and 3 rebounds.
Miles.
Yes, sir. Correct. See, there you go. All right. Declan, these are all from this year. 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 steals. Any idea?
Maybe feeing away.
Incorrect. Colby, do you
That's
know?
what I was.
Oh, really?
I was gonna guess Fian away.
It was Durfee.
Ooh.
All right, Colby. Against Bishop Fian, this must have been at home. Did you play them up there? Yeah, you did play them up there.
Twice at home. And
It was one of the home games. Sorry. This
Okay.
person had 17 points and 6 rebounds. Wow. 2 for 2. Nice. All right.
I think.
Declan, 33 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals. Actually, sorry. That's what it said in the iPad. The book had you for like 38, I think.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, you this was Fenwick. This was the first game.
It was Fenwick. Yes, that is correct. I don't know about 38, but
It's like a huge difference.
all right. This was against Bishop Fian. I don't know which game it was, so I apologize, but I just found it to be the strangest stat line that I could find. 2 points and 9 rebounds.
Ethan.
It was Miles, had 9 rebounds in a game against Fian.
Oh, you are right. Because I said I gave a speech about that. Man, I'm upset that I got that wrong.
That's all right. You're 2 for 3. You're going to get the next one wrong too, but that's okay. You both are. All right. So, Declan, 10, this is a stat sheet stuffer. 10 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and 7 blocks.
This was this year?
Mm-hmm.
Was this Archie's at home?
No, this was Bridget Markey against St. Mary's.
Yeah, I thought that was Giannis.
I can't recall again.
It looked like Giannis out there sometimes.
That would have been 70 fantasy points.
I can't get over that stat line. That's insane.
Wow.
She had at least 5, registered at least 5 in 5 categories. That's nuts.
Jeez.
All right, Colby, last one. 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals. I can't tell you what game.
And we already did Jacob?
No, this was you against Binghamton in college. 17, 7, and 2. That's when you were at UNH?
Yeah, UNH. If we had won that game, we would have hosted the American East Conference Championship to go to the NCAA tournament.
You guys lost, though?
We lost. At the buzzer. It's on the last 5 minutes is on YouTube. It kills me. I still watch it. It hurts.
They always do. All right,
Yeah.
that's all I have, guys. I appreciate it. I feel like that was really good, and
yeah, definitely.
I appreciate you being the first guest. We'll see. We're gonna listen to it and see if we think it's any good, and then figure out if we're gonna do anything with it. But appreciate you guys getting on and being the first guest and having fun. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, guys.